Okay, this is the fourth part, and just to recap, we're going to get into some measurements today, or ways to quantify and talk about this force that's we call electricity. So just to recap real quick, hold my picture up here. We talked about that there were three things that are necessary for the flow of electricity. First of all, we need an electrical pressure, or a difference of potential, and we'll come back to this in a second. We needed a conductor, that is, we needed a material that had just one electron in its outer valence shell that could be jarred loose and that could move from atom to cause the flow of electricity. Okay, and then finally we need a complete path or circuit, a circle, for the electricity to flow. So here's the switch. When I push this down, it closes this gap between these two copper wires, and now there's a complete circle or loop for the electricity to flow from the negative to the positive. Okay, so just another analogy. So in other words, we need a force, and we need a conductor, and we need a complete path. Now, talking about the force, what are we talking about? Well, imagine my dog loves meat. Most dogs do. Never seen a dog really that doesn't like meat. So let's say that I'm holding a big juicy steak in my hand, and somebody's holding my dog on a leash. My dog both sees and smells the steak. Okay. Well, when the dog starts to pull, she gets the desire, as my dog does, for the meat. She starts to pull on the leash, so there's a force there. And to make the analogy here, that force is the voltage in terms of electricity. That's the difference of potential. As soon as the person lets go of the leash, the dog's going to start to run towards me and jump up and grab the steak out of my hand. That's the motion. That's the flow of current. Okay, so there's different aspects of this. Now, the voltage is simply a difference of potential. So let's say that I have two substances. In my one hand, I have a substance, and I've taken the atoms, and I've taken some of the electrons from those atoms. So now they have more protons than they do electrons. So the overall effect is that each atom has a positive charge. So it has this positive force that it's exerting. And in my other hand, I have a substance where I've added electrons so that it has more electrons in its shells than it has protons in the nucleus, and so the overall effect is that it's got a negative charge. Well, the difference in potential that exists between these two forces is the voltage, because opposites attract. This negative force, or let's see, it was this hand, this negative force is attracted to the positive, and so if there's a pathway for the electrons to flow, then they will begin to flow to stabilize the atoms, essentially. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about voltage. Voltage is simply pressure. Voltage is not movement of electricity. It's the difference of potential that exists. In other words, it's the pressure that causes the electricity to flow once there's a pathway for the electrons to move in a complete circuit. Now, let's see. So the volt is just to kind of give you a definition, when we talk about voltage, we're just talking about the pressure, not the movement itself. A volt is essentially the amount of force necessary to cause 1 coulomb, and if you'll remember, coulomb is a quantitative measurement. 1 coulomb represents 6.25 times 10 to the 18th electrons. So when we talk about a coulomb, we're talking about a very large number of electrons. And 1 volt is the amount of force that must be exerted to cause 1 coulomb to produce 1 joule of work. And joule is another term of measurement that I don't want to get into at this point, but essentially it measures electrical work. So another aspect, or another form of measurement of electricity that we need to concern ourselves with, is the amp, or the ampere, or in Texas we say ampere. I don't know if it's ampere, ampere, whatever, but the amp, and named after an early researcher into electricity, I believe from France. So let's take a look at this. I have this circuit. Okay, at one side I have a battery. One side is one lead, if you will, or one terminal is positive, the other is negative. when I close the circuit or provide a complete pathway, let's say that I measure the current that flows through this circuit and it measures 1 amp. Well, what does that mean? Well, 1 amp is essentially 1 coulomb per second. So here we're talking about the coulomb, in other words, a quantity of electrons. And so we're talking about the flow or movement of the electrons past a given point. And here again, the amp is a measure of the flow of 1 coulomb past a given point per second. Okay. Then finally, there's another important measurement that's used in the study of electricity. Actually, there are many, but another basic one, and it's called the ohm, OHM. And it is basically a measure of the resistance to current flow. Okay, so in fact, if getting my little picture back up here again, this little zigzag line over here represents a resistance of some kind, a resistor. If this weren't here, as soon as I closed the switch or whatever, as soon as I made a complete pathway from the negative terminal to the positive, all of the current would try to flow as much as the wire could take from the negative to the positive, and essentially what I would have would be a short circuit because it tries to stabilize as fast as it can. So resistance to current flow is an important aspect of an electrical circuit. You need a certain amount of resistance to limit the current flow. So 1 ohm is defined as the amount of resistance that allows 1 amp to flow when 1 volt of electrical pressure or electromotive force is applied. And I don't remember if I mentioned this a while ago or not, but the volt, that is the electrical pressure that's exerted, is measured in, of course, volts. Although in electrical formulas it's often represented with, it can be represented with a V, but a lot of times it's actually represented with an E, and that E stands for electromotive force. And if you remember that electromotive force, that will help you to remember that voltage is not really the movement of electricity, it's the force, the difference of potential that causes the electrons to move. Okay, the amp is a measure of current flow, or coulomb, electrons flowing through a given point, 1 coulomb per second. And you will see the amps represented in electrical formulas a lot of times with the letter I. If you think of the word intensity, the intensity of the current flow, that will help you remember that the letter I in any formula pertaining to electronics typically represents current. Okay, and then the one that's the easiest to remember because it actually matches the word R for resistance. So resistance is measured in ohms, represented by the Greek letter omega, or you can just do an OHMS, write out the word ohms. And in formulas, the resistance to current flow is typically represented with the letter R. So let's see how this works out. There's a basic formula that's just really basic to all electronics, essentially, and it's called Ohm's Law, named after a researcher into the properties of electricity. Let me back up a little so you can see this. Okay, so the basic formula is that the voltage is equal to the current times the resistance. In other words, I need a certain amount of pressure, electrical pressure, to cause X amount of current to flow through X amount of resistance. Okay, as I increase the voltage, I also will typically increase the current flow. However, current flow is going to be inversely proportional to the resistance in the circuit. So if I raise the resistance to the flow of current, then it will go down. These are proportional relationships that are represented by this formula. Volts is equal to the amps, or the I, current flow, times the resistance, or the ohms. And that's what this formula is. Now there's a neat way that you can remember how to manipulate these different aspects of this formula to work out different problems. So, for example, let's say that I knew the voltage and I knew the current in a circuit, but I didn't know the resistance. Well, I can draw myself a little pie and see how I put the E across the top and then I put the R and the I. Well, whenever I cover up the quantity that I want to find out, what's left is my mathematical formula. So if I want to know the R, it's going to be E divided by I. That big line there represents division, the horizontal line. The vertical line represents multiplication. Let's say that I know what the current flow is. I hook an ammeter up to my circuit and it tells me 2 amps are flowing. And I know the resistance. Let's say that it says 100 ohms, okay? But I don't know the source voltage. Well, one way that I can find that out is just to cover up the E, the unknown quantity, and then what I'm left with is what I need to do. I know the current is 2 amps. I know that the resistance is 100 ohms. And this tells me I need to multiply those two quantities. So I can multiply I times R, in other words 2 amps times 100 ohms. And what I get is 200, and that's my voltage. So 200 volts is needed to push 2 amps through 100 ohms of resistance. And that's how the basic formula works. This formula will provide basically form the basis of all of the other stuff that we talk about with regard to electricity. So it's a good one to commit to memory if you're at all interested in the study of electricity. I think I'm going to end with this formula, and we'll come back to it next time. Thanks a lot.